Next week, probably, Starship will have the first orbital flight test.
Microsoft redesigned the whole platform to make it faster, but also, of course, how it is implementing AI features.
Samsung workers made a major error by using ChatGPT. Welcome to our weekly tech review, where we explore the latest trends, news and updates from the world of technology. Whether you're a seasoned innovation expert or just starting in tech, this podcast is the perfect source for staying up to date with what is happening right now. With me today I have Vincent and Henrike and myself, I'm Tarek. Welcome. Tech Review is a collaboration of Ideas Engineering, Free Tech Academy, and Update. You can watch all episodes on YouTube or listen to us on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcast while you work out, drive, or maybe even travel through space. Let's jump into the news, and my famous random generator tells me that Henrike is going to start with, I guess, SpaceX? Or do you want
Yes, I didn't had space-related content in a while, so I thought it's about time to talk about that. Because next week, probably, Starship will have the first orbital flight test. It's scheduled for the 17th of April, if everything goes right. And the reason why I brought this article is actually the video which is embedded a bit further down. It's a 5-minute video though, so we probably shouldn't watch it now completely. But it's a new, promo video that they introduced. I think the last one is already 6 years old. If you remember the first time they announced the BFR and the whole Starship project. And what I found really interesting in this video, I think it's around minute 2 or something, when the booster is about to come back to the Earth, like they do it like all the time, like returning to Earth. It's not supposed to land on the launch pad, but it's supposed to land kind of it's about to be grabbed and kind of caught in the air. And then it's like, there you can see it.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And that I thought is pretty neat. I was like, that's really just that second. I was like, okay, that is new, to kind of grab it out of the air and kind of catch it while it returns back to Earth. What you can also see later in the video is how the whole refueling is about to work in space. And then I think towards the end of the video, you can see the outpost on the Mars, like the new renderings on how it's supposed to look like. So, this is still kind of in the future, but since next week, maybe, or if not on the 17th of April, then one of the next days until the 22nd, they have like a big launch window, like from the 17th to the 22nd. Each day they could do the flight test. It becomes, more reality than like 6-7 years ago when the first movie was shown to us. So yeah, that's news from the BFR. And Starship.
Super interesting. I wonder if there is a serious reason for why they're experimenting, or at least have like these thought experiments of catching the booster mid-air instead of landing it as they are doing it right now, because I thought it's a perfect system having it just landing there. And I remember that some months ago we also had another video of, I think, catching it in the air by helicopters or something, or I don't remember what
that
was.
From, what was that, SpaceX though? Or was there was another, I think, launch provider who had this experiment. I remember that as well, but don't think it was SpaceX.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but it's still the question if it's just like a thought experiment of another possibility, or if they have some kind of problems that they need to solve with this new mechanism. Vincent, you wanted to say something?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, Henrike, you go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add, because the booster is also like, it has different dimensions to the one from the normal Falcon rocket. So it's it's a huge one, maybe because of statics, and
Yeah,
I don't know. That's the reason why the landing, like they used to do it, is not that easy with that one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just very surprised that we now are getting these news, because I think around about 2 months ago, we had this article saying in what a bad shape SpaceX rockets, and specifically Starship, actually is, and how bad SpaceX is developing and progressing. So my question might be, or could be, A, this mechanism, is it maybe a publicity stunt? And B, is probably the whole test and this tweet just a way of Elon Musk again influencing public perception? Because the article, I remember 2 months ago, was very serious about how slow and how also programmatic actually the development of the space rocket actually is. So I'm very surprised, and I think honestly that's more publicity than it's actually necessary test. Tarek, the question of the booster specifically being one that, why haven't we heard about that earlier? Why is this now coming, even though Starship actually was announced to be close to done in development? And I'm not saying that every screw and every circuit was designed, but this is such a fundamental change. And let's just think back to how many years and tests it needed actually for the boosters to return safely on that landing pad in the ocean. Now catching on Earth, and I'm not saying Earth as in our globe, but now catching on massive ground a rocket that is, just as you said, Enrique, much heavier than the Falcon ones. I don't know if that is not publicity.
I mean, it could be. I imagine that SpaceX is a large company, and I could imagine that the research and development department that is creating all these plans and these designs is working independently from the production team that is preparing these 500 rockets that they plan to colonize Mars with. And so it might happen at the same time that the production department building these rockets on the beach and having them covered with seashells and everything is working, has their problems, even though the research and development department does not stop building these new mechanisms. And so
yeah, and I mean, let's see whether, I think the test is going to happen soon. I mean, they write as well, they just need the FAA approval that all the security stuff, everything is in order. And it makes sense that still, although we had those news a month ago, that now they're ready to do the test, because you gave the answer probably already, it's a month ago, and we haven't heard for months. So probably now they're kind of ready to do the actual test, despite those problems that they had in the past. But if they're going to have this grabbing and catching kind of solution already in place, who knows? Maybe that is kind of the newest idea of the R&D department, and for now they still have the conventional way of landing on a launch pad. I don't know. And this is something they want to do in the future for whatever reason. But despite those problems that they had, I think to announce now, okay, now we're ready to have the test, is still quite legit at this point. Otherwise, I don't think they would announce it, because that would be the much bigger failure if they try a launch and it's failing big time, because they're not
right.
ready.
And even though they are showing these images and these videos, it's still unclear when Starship is going to launch and actually getting into space. And so having a really working mechanism and having these promotional shots is probably completely decoupled, and it does not really matter. And in terms of funding, I think SpaceX needs some positive images to continue working as they intend to do.
Yeah, and maybe if it just would be the news of, okay, now the test is ready. Okay, then do it and show us how great it is. But having it connected to a new promo video, of course, is a bit more exciting because it, gets you back into this whole vision and how this can look like and gets you more excited than just a test announcement. So the publicity stunt at this point definitely makes sense.
And it is Elon Musk, and we all know how much Elon Musk loves the topic of publicity.
Exactly.
All right. If our tech review is valuable for you, please give us feedback with a like or a comment. That would help us tremendously and it wouldn't cost you anything. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, just click on the subscribe button. And now, back to the news. I wanted to put the and now this thing on my soundboard. I again forgot about this. So, and now this.
And now this.
But that was not very accurate. You did better in the past.
Next one would be Vincent. So tell me, which
the
one?
YouTube video, please. The YouTube video you see. Yes, I know it's a YouTube video, but I found that this creator actually summarized very well what we are about to see. And it's about my favorite software. Not my favorite, but one of my favorite software from one of my favorite software providers. Something that, Tarek, you don't necessarily love that much. It's about Microsoft Teams. It's about Microsoft Teams in the next phase where Microsoft redesigned the whole platform to make it faster. Somewhere in the video we see a bit more on what this program is now based on in terms of development, but also, of course, how it is implementing AI features and very prominently showing how closely Microsoft is working together with OpenAI and how the features are performing. And I just found it very interesting. I like it. I like this development very much because there's a lot of features like new emojis, new design, these kind of things. But they build Teams from the ground up completely new. It is 2 times faster. It uses 70% less memory now. And you see the animation over and over and over again. It's quite interesting. However, what now Teams will do for you is it will find times automatically. Yes, find times automatically. It also uses, there you can see it, the classic Teams is built on custom HTML and CSS, and now Teams is made on Fluent, something, Tarek, that I will ask you in very short time about what that actually means. Host is Electron. Whatever, I don't know what it is, but it works, I guess. No, but also Teams will much more fluently work together with other platforms, of course, within the Microsoft universe, specifically for the AI. For the AI part. So you see there's a new Discover section that aggregates the most important content for you, specifically for you, and that is learned by AI. It will, again, have a lot of collaboration features, specifically focusing on Microsoft Loop, the new Loop feature that is kind of a take, as far as I understand. It's already existing. We can already try it out. It's kind of a take, as far as I understand, on Notion. There you can see it in action. It is very, very interesting, and I'm just very excited for it, and this is why I wanted to bring it today. And there you can see again the animation, how they envision it, specifically with the help of AI. They want to make the collaboration between different features much more fluent. And I just like that very much.
Yeah, I'm very curious, especially because we use Teams almost every single day, and we keep complaining about so many things, from usability over stability over reliability over configuration screw-ups that we have in Teams. And so on the one hand, I hope that they don't get worse in whatever they rebuild right now. At the same time, Microsoft is currently on the very top with the AI technologies and their collaborations with OpenAI. And so it would be a really missed chance if they would not include all of their new AI-based features in their, let's say, like most front user-facing features or products like Microsoft Teams. Yeah.
In the video you just saw also Copilot, this new feature that will support. Oh yes, I forgot about so many things. The AI, but this goes on. But let's talk about Copilot first. Copilot is what I'm most excited about, to see how well it is actually made, because Copilot will take the power of the OpenAI model and apply it within Microsoft Teams. But I mean, in the end, Microsoft Teams is just a platform where people meet with different. Well, in the end, I don't know. I'm not going to say APIs because that is not what it is, but there are different streams of information all coming together in this one platform, like a super app. And now Copilot will take all of the information it's getting and we'll try to master the task you give us. The example there is very easy. It is create a timetable on where we can meet and then create a meeting out of it, or summarize everything Henrike said and compare it to what Vincent said and highlight differences in their opinions, these kind of things, okay? But can also Copilot go into the teams that we have? Can Copilot and maybe, I don't know, clean it out of specific or crawl for specific information? How can Copilot access, if you have access to those documents that maybe are based on other drives, maybe on OneDrive, something that you share with me, and I say, well, take all the documentation from all of the different ones and create a PowerPoint out of it, or an Excel. That is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm kind of excited for the avatars in video conferences, like if you have a bad hair day or just don't feel like you want to be in front of the camera and stuff. And I wonder if that also helps, like, people who are not, I mean, we are kind of tech savvy and kind of also in VR environments. We've already been there and interacted with virtual avatars and so on, but it's kind of, it's, you know, it's not the norm and it's irritating and it's a weird kind of setting. If in that way, if you have like some people using avatars in video calls, and we all have video calls all day long, it becomes more normal to interact with an avatar for everyone. And then slowly it kind of, you know, gets into the direction people are not that hesitant anymore towards virtual and mixed reality settings, stuff like that. If that could be like the entry point in kind of normalizing this.
I remember that a couple of tech reviews in the past, we talked about the new pricing tier of Microsoft Teams and having like this Microsoft Teams Premium. Do you know if this is all these new features or the new version, is it completely locked behind the paywall?
So right now this is still in testing, and the only ones who will get it right now are commercial users. It will be rolled out to education, to the general free version, also not to Windows platform only. Right now, obviously, it's just a Windows feature. You will also see it in Mac and at web. But currently, only commercial users can use it, and only, of course, with selected partners /admins can turn on this feature. So for the commercial version that we are all using or working in the end in the same environment, our super admin could turn it on and we could experience it. What of this will then finally be available? If Copilot will be available, if Avatar is going to be available in the free version, the web version, I don't know. But I'm really excited to see it. But Henrike, I have to agree with you. And again, I just want to highlight how extremely smart, from my point of view, Microsoft's take is on this transition into the metaverse. They didn't do this brutal jump that Meta did, or a lot of other platforms. They are implementing all of these features step by step and really leading you into their vision of augmented reality. Because of course what they're doing is, it is a complete virtual reality, right? It's complete VR. When you turn on Avatar, and me and everything around me is, on the one hand, completely virtual, but it's augmented because it is still showing what's actually being seen by the camera, but not virtual. This really brings you, A, it's a dilemma. What do you call it? Is it AR? Is it VR? I don't know right now. But B, and that's a more significant point, this is really where Microsoft is heading. They see that this is too far away to say we are jumping completely to VR. And they develop those features. I would like to believe they have this master plan since when they launched Teams now 4 years ago. I think even more. I think 6 years ago, 18 was I think the first Teams version. But I would like to believe it. But whatever it is, they're developing those tools that step by step, partially and even more, are becoming more of that. So I think that's just extremely. I think we need to give Microsoft credit for that a lot.
So far, I agree. Let's test it first before we give credit. But of course, I'm going to find out who we have to bribe to get access, like early access to this new version of Microsoft Teams. Because I'm really hoping for the best. Even though I am literally not the biggest fan of Microsoft Teams. So
it was
can only get
officially
better.
introduced in March 2017. Google says.
Really? All right.
And now, this.
Let's jump to my first article, which is this one. Samsung workers made a major error by using ChatGPT. And this is something that everybody knew would happen, but it actually happened to Samsung. Because Samsung engineers at its semiconductor arm unwittingly leaked confidential information while using ChatGPT. In 3 recorded incidents, employees inputted trade secrets such as source code, internal meeting notes, and hardware data effectively into the hands of OpenAI by pushing it simply into ChatGPT. The semiconductor company from Samsung, they are developing their in-house AI for internal use. And they prompted, I think, several confidential documents and meeting notes and everything for summarization and for additional value that they use OpenAI's ChatGPT for into the search. And they did not remember that everything that you put in there right now is stored on OpenAI servers and is potentially used to retrain the language model that OpenAI is using for ChatGPT. And this is something that is, of course, during the test operations of OpenAI well known. And we all know that we are asked to not put anything sensitive in there, but it happened with Samsung. And what we all know is that it's probably not possible to delete these things from OpenAI, because in their terms and conditions, they take everything you put in there and they might reuse it. And this is actually the reason why Italy is banning ChatGPT altogether, because the EU's GDPR technically forbids exactly this kind of thing, collecting personal data without the option to delete it afterwards. Yeah, this is some conditions of the GDPR, and that's why other European nations, like Germany, for example, is also considering targeting OpenAI because of this. And with Samsung, this is now like the worst case scenario. They have a lot of, or let's say, what was it, like these 3 incidents where they actually put it sensitive information there, and it is now part of ChatGPT. I'm not sure if we can target these informations by asking, like, tell me something secret about Samsung, and then we get it out of this language model. It might happen, because this is exactly what ChatGPT is doing, right? And so far, we only knew this in theory, but it obviously happens. And I'm sure that we are going to use this article as a let's say, a scary story for everyone starting working with ChatGPT to be extra careful. And I'm not sure if there is already something like an opt-out option where we say, whatever we put in there, let's keep it a secret. But in this case, or at least if you use like the free version from the web for ChatGPT, it's explicitly said that everything you put in there will be stored and reused in some capacity. Yeah, and so I kind of like this story, even though it is super scary, and I think this is something that we will have to deal with in the future even more carefully. Yeah. So my question to you: Have you used ChatGPT for external or for internal work with classified documents yet? And now that I asked this, please don't tell it on the podcast. So don't answer. Okay, but your opinion?
No, but I think it's super important that we talk about these cases, because it's a huge deal, and it's easily forgotten or overlooked at because people are excited about ChatGPT. A lot of companies, a lot of individuals are like, yeah, try it out. And yeah, we need to try it out and we need to make ourselves comfortable with it because it's here to stay. But at the same time, everyone has to be quite cautious, and it's that's something that's always kind of lacking, like the educational part of like, okay, to what extent you can use it, in what way you should use it, what you have to be, have to have in mind, and not getting like hugely excited and put everything in there without thinking about it. So it's important that we have those, although, I mean, it would be great to not have these incidents, but, have these worst case examples to kind of make everyone aware. Yes, this is why you should think twice before, you put all your internal confidential information in there, or too many personal details or whatever, because you have to have in mind that it's not yours only then anymore.
First of all, I must say that this is one more proof that really gives me a good feeling, because it shows that an absolute tech giant in hardware and software is doing the same, is making the same mistakes as everybody else. It's and I think specifically since it's an Asian company, I always have my personal impression of this company always is that it's a very regulated, very careful, very also maybe pragmatic steered approach to tech. This is also maybe, since I'm working at Update, we partner with Samsung a lot. I always, from my experience, these guys are they're really pragmatic, very realistic also. And doing that mistake, that just gives me a good feeling. We all do the same. We're all humans. We're all, in German, you would say, we all cook with water. And that is very, very nice. Also, I think these employees of Samsung just experienced the business model of Microsoft and OpenAI back at it firsthand, because this is exactly, I think, what OpenAI does, right? It collects as much data as it could to learn and train and to get better. And if you want that extra piece of privacy, if you want that extra piece of performance, well, you gotta buy it. And I think that's just brutally smart. And this if I were Microsoft or if I were OpenAI, I don't know if I would put it on my website, but I would definitely read this and say, well, exactly.
Yeah, but you're right.
Here is the affiliate link.
I mean, one of the big things that Microsoft is promising is to have like better workload, not like a more efficient way of dealing with your meetings and everything, and automatically having Microsoft Teams transcribe all the meetings and summarize and analyze and everything. Of course, the first thing they have to guarantee is that if you're using this in your company, everything you put in there is confidential. And so obviously in the future, you should not be scared to use OpenAI or all of these GPT services for your business needs. But in this case, where we are still in this test phase or misusing like the test version of ChatGPT for like confidential stuff, you still have to be very careful.
But is it a test phase? Is it really? Because, I mean, this training of the model will never end because trends will evolve, trends will develop. And with trends, I'm not saying trends like last year when we spoke about Bitcoin and crypto and all of these kind of things, and Web3, even though still it's very relevant. But, I mean, last year, you remember 2022. We all do. And my question is it really a test? Because this training will never be over. And what is there, what better is there than training on real life use under the proclamation of, hey, this is a test, so don't mess it up with putting in your private information. But by the way, Microsoft Azure has all of this for free if you buy Azure. So I don't know if this is a test. I think this is just the way it will be. You have the free version with all of these, I'm going to say challenges of privacy, and you're going to have the tailor-made thing for you.
Yeah, but the Azure version is not for free. If you buy into the subscription of Azure, then you're paying exactly for this corporate partnership. And then I'm pretty sure that you have these confidentiality clauses. But if you're using the OpenAI version for free, then it's explicitly said that you are in this test phase and you have to agree that everything that you're entering there is recorded and reused. So there's no secret around this and there's no misuse about this. You agree to this, but the GDPR says you do not have the right to agree to have personal information stored without the right of deleting it afterwards. So this agreement is practically illegal from the European standpoint.
The part with the GDPR, I do not disagree at all. But to the rest, I just want to say this is exactly what I meant. But I'm just saying that I think that what Microsoft will do or is already doing together with OpenAI is they're going to offer you all of those Azure services you're paying for and promising you these pieces, the things that you are getting more or less on top, but being part of it. But obviously in the end you pay for it. And this is why I think this test phase will never stop, because they just need as much information as they're getting. And honestly, from these kind of things, they're just profiting off it because they can develop the algorithm, the way they train this thing much better. So Amazon did the same thing, I think, a few weeks ago. So I don't think that this test will ever be over.
No. Of course, it will be retrained. But the question is, what source data do you put into there? And there, of course, you can split it up. If you take Wikipedia and all articles from Wikipedia and use it as training data, completely okay, because this is publicly available data. But the data that lands onto your Microsoft Azure cloud, because they are confidential meeting documents, it would be a death sentence if for some reason these confidential information land into the training data. And so I'm absolutely sure that they do not need this and they will not use this unless it's like a really, really serious incident on Microsoft's side. Because if it happens for once, they would lose all trust from all corporations using this at all. Yeah, and I don't think that they need this. They have a lot of data. Of course, they always need more data, but I don't think that they need it so badly that they misuse confidential documents from corporate customers to retrain their language models.
No. They will just. I think they will just keep on on giving this test for everybody to use, counting on it that we will do it, and then promising, of course, everybody who needs confidentiality using Azure services this piece of privacy.
Sure. Yeah. It's like a paid feature. All right. Yeah. We are through with our 3 articles of the week. Thank you so much for your input. As always, a pleasure, and talk to you and see you next week. Bye.